Hi everybody and welcome to our crash course on interest groups and public opinion. So this video is based off of chapter 18 in our book and covers everything you need to know about interest groups and public opinion and how they affect our government. I hope you enjoy. Alright, so you're probably wondering what are interest groups and why they're so important and how they affect our government. So an interest group is a group of people who share common goals and come together to help organize and influence the government for their special need or opinion. So an example of these groups is the Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or MAD for short. And the objective of these groups is to get the government to help aid and support their causes so that they can shape society in the way that what they would want it. However, everybody was not pleased with the idea of having these groups involved in participating in government affairs, especially some of our early leaders of the United States, like the Founding Fathers. So in the Federalist, which was a bunch of articles to help support the ratification of the Constitution, and James Madison was one of the writers. He refers to these factions, what he calls the interest groups, as groups of people united to promote special interests that were, and I quote, adverse to the rights of other citizens or the permanent and aggregated interests of the community. So even though he saw these factions as threats to the government, he couldn't get rid of them like that, because he explained that removing the cause of factions was not as acceptable as removing their effect. So he believed that this constitution would act as a safeguard against the potential abuse of these interest groups. So it's more of like a guideline and boundaries that the groups need to stay in. If they did cross it, then they would violate the Constitution. And so another thing that people confuse about the idea is of interest groups and political parties, that they are the same thing, and they are wrong, my friend. And so there's a big difference between the two. So even though both can support a candidate in an election based on the same goals that his or her group has, interest groups cannot nominate candidates in the election. So this is just a general idea of what they do. We'll cover it more on our next sections, but this is the basic idea of how factions work, and that's it. Alright, so now we are on to section 2, which is on affecting public policy. So we're going to start with the lobbyists. Lobbyists are people who try to influence members of Congress or the president himself. So traditionally, lobbyists got their name from always being in the lobby of the Capitol building on Capitol Hill, approaching Congress people or their staff to ask them to try to vote on a certain way on a certain bill that may affect them. So they often try to persuade policymakers by providing them with useful information that supports their interest group's position and their policy. And so that's not the only way. Sometimes interest groups will go as far as to a draft on a bill and have lobbyists try to get lawmakers to propose on it in Congress. So lobbying is not the only method interest groups use to influence policymakers. Interest groups also provide a lot of money used in getting candidates elected through political action committees, more commonly known as PACs.
Shaping public opinion. Public opinion includes the ideas and attitudes a significant number of Americans hold about the government and political issues. Public opinion is varied and diverse, but also may be expressed and communicated to the government. And in order for opinions to be considered public opinion, enough people must hold a particular opinion in order to get the government officials to listen to them. Public opinion is often influenced by family, home, lifestyles, schools, peer groups, and etc. The internet and the mass media. Most public opinions fall within either liberal or conservative ideologies. Liberals believe big government that provides many services for the people. Conservatives believe that limited government with not a lot of government input into the daily lives. They often believe that private individuals, companies, organizations should have social problems instead of the government. Conservatives generally believe that in a strict adherence to the Constitution.
And now to our thought bubble on measuring public opinion. We now see that public opinion is critical and important to our government, from interest groups getting their point across to policymakers making the new laws and bills. It plays an important role in our government and society as well, which will shape America forever.